All right, welcome back to Nick Talks Sports, the channel where a random guy talks about the sports that he cares about. Today, we're going to be talking about the power rankings that I have after week 3. So let's get rolling. At number 10, I have the Indianapolis Colts, and I didn't have them in my top 10 last week, but let me tell you, I know a lot of people are going to have a problem with this. They're 3-0, they're playing really well, and they're really demolishing pretty much any team they face. I don't fully believe in the Colts. I think that every team that I have ahead of them would beat them in a one-on-one matchup. Maybe I'm wrong. I need more time for this to pan out. That's the thing about the top 10 is that it takes time for these things to pan out. We're only 3 weeks in. I need to get closer to 5, 6, 7 weeks into the season to know what each team really is. Because we're seeing some teams start off slow, but they've started off slow before and then come back and been just fine. And so there's an aspect of historical success that I bring into this, but that's not only it. It is still somewhat based on how teams are doing this season. So I do have the Colts in the top 10. I can't ignore them anymore. Unfortunately, they're at number 10. It just feels like there's too many teams that I wanted to include in the top 10. So here they are. Congrats, Colts fans. At number 9, you have the Kansas City Chiefs. And listen, I know that this is dropping them a couple spots even after a win, and they are 1-2, but you were playing the Giants, so I'm not entirely respectful of that kind of a win. That being said, the defense has really turned around since week 1. I think that there's a lot to improve on here, a lot to take moving forward. The offense looked better in the second half against the Giants. I do expect the offense to get better with Xavier Worthy coming back into the fold. I think he'll be back this week. And then you have Rashee Rice. If you can just hold your head above water until week 7, Rashee Rice is coming back. And Rashee Rice was kind of a monster before he went out with an injury last year. So I expect this offense to take some huge strides throughout the season. And this is a team that even if they lose to Baltimore, I don't have them dropping out of the top 10 necessarily, I don't think, unless they look really, really bad. But I do have them at number 9. And if they beat Baltimore, all of a sudden you're 2-2. That 0-2 start is long gone. You're 2-2. The Ravens are then 1-3. You're a game ahead of them with a tiebreaker, and you have a chance to be coming back against the Chargers. You get to play against them another game this season. Surely they'll lose at some point. So you have a chance to really take back the AFC West as well. So this is a really huge game for the Chiefs. Right now, number 9. At number 8, the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens are 1-2. They drop a significant amount this week for me, and I didn't want to drop them this much, but I just felt that I needed to drop them this much. Maybe I didn't drop them enough over the first few weeks, but obviously you lose to Detroit at home. Fumbling still a problem for Derrick Henry. You had that close loss that you threw away to the Bills the first week of the season. So this 1-2 start isn't really a bad start, but it does stink that they're still struggling to beat good teams and to close out games against the really good teams in the league. That being said, Baltimore is going to be just fine. You're in a weak division. Joe Burrow's injured. I don't have any questions about Baltimore and how they'll do this season as far as winning their division. But if you lose to Kansas City this week, you are looking at best probably moving forward like the 3 seed in the playoffs. And that is some trouble for the Ravens, who historically have not proven that they can win big games in the playoffs. That being said, you're at number 8. Definitely probably will move up this leaderboard moving into the season further, because Baltimore usually has really good regular seasons. I don't expect this to last very long for them at 1-2. Even if they're 1-3, I think that they bounce back and they're just fine the rest of the year. At number 7, I have the Los Angeles Rams. And the Rams, I didn't want to drop any further, and I actually wanted to keep higher, but I could not keep higher. You have the difficult loss on the road to the Eagles. And listen, this is a game that the Rams should have won. They had it won. You're up 26-7 in the third. Looks like you take your foot off the gas and try just to play keep away with the ball essentially, and trust that your defense can come in and hold the Eagles down the rest of the game. But again, I always say this, playing not to lose is also playing not to win. And so then what ends up happening is you lose a game that you shouldn't lose. You're up 26-7. The Rams, I think, more than proved that they are one of the top teams in the league by going up that much against the Eagles, the defending champions. But throwing away the game does drop you a little bit. That being said, you're at number 7 this week. Let's see how things shake out the rest of the season. At number 6, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers, listen, I want to have them higher than this. I really wanted to put them into the top 5, but they're 3-0. Baker Mayfield has been clutch every single game, but they are having to win late in these games. And it was concerning that you're allowing the Jets, led by Tyrod Taylor, to come back into that game and to even take the lead on you before you go in and finally close out the game. That being said, I do believe that this is a good football team. I believe in Baker Mayfield. I believe in Emeka Egbuka, that rookie. I think that he is very, very good, and they'll continue to get better throughout this season. I think that they have a firm grasp on the NFC South, and you'll see them in the playoffs. And I don't think any team wants to play them in the playoffs, because I think this is a team that could beat anyone. But for now, they're number 6. At number 5, I have the Detroit Lions. And the Lions come off with a huge win. I think arguably could be higher on this list. They're 2-1. Obviously, you start the season with a really rough loss to Green Bay, but you've been really good ever since these last 2 weeks. And again, we're only 3 weeks in. This list will continue to evolve, and things will shake out where teams should be as we move forward. But for now, the Lions are at number 5. A really good win. The rushing attack was great. They won in the trenches on both sides of the ball. That's really encouraging against a great team in the Ravens. And so moving forward, the Lions have a really good shot here whenever they go back up against the Packers to take control of the NFC North again. But anyone who doubted the Lions, including myself heading into this year, were sorely mistaken. Dan Campbell is a dang good football coach. At number 4, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are 3-0. They've won all divisional games. That's a really big step in the right direction. They definitely have a hold on the AFC West right now. That's not to say that the Chiefs can't come back in that division. That being said, though, they look very good. Their defense is really good. Justin Herbert is playing at a high level right now. You'd want a little bit more from that rushing attack. It hasn't quite been what they expected. Omarion Hampton, I think, will continue to get better throughout the season. Right now, I have you at number 4. Couldn't quite put you into that top 3 range. I know some people may want them up there, or some people may want them further back. Again, it's just so early in the season. It's hard to tell where they should be. But right now, Chargers playing really good football. You're at number 4. At number 3, I have the Green Bay Packers. And look, I know they had a bad loss. I had them at number 3 last week. I just couldn't drop them. I know that you lose to the Browns in a really bad game. You're up 10-0, and you allow a 13-0 run in the 4th to lose that game. You had a block kick at the end, and then the Browns go and make a really long kick themselves to beat you. That being said, Green Bay was talking about potentially an undefeated season heading into this week, and they come back down to earth pretty hard, but that defense is legit. They look very good. They're definitely one of the best groups in the league. And I think that offense will get a little bit better as the season progresses. The offense could ride waves with Jordan Love, who has been known to have stretches of great games and stretches of bad games. But that defense can definitely keep them afloat. I think that they are a much better team than what they displayed this last week. And for that reason, I know people may disagree. I want to hold them at number 3 for now. At number 2, you got the Buffalo Bills coming off of a win against a divisional rival in the Miami Dolphins, a Dolphins team that I thought was drawing dead and showed some life against the Bills and gave the Bills a little bit of a run for their money. The Bills ultimately, though, prevail. I think everyone kind of expected that. The Bills are a very good football team. Josh Allen is playing possibly the best football in the league right now of any quarterback. He is doing exactly what he needs to do. He can recognize in a game, do I need to be Superman, or do I need to allow James Cook to continue running the ball? And he'll do what he needs. He's not taking any bad risks in the games. He's playing very good football. I'm expecting this team to continue to play well. I think from here on out, they have the easiest schedule in the league the rest of the way, which good for them. Kind of a bummer for any other good team. It's kind of crazy. You'd think one of the best teams in the league having the easiest schedule after 3 weeks heading the rest of the way. But hey, that is what it is. You only play who's in front of you. This is a very good team. The defense looks like they are getting a little bit better. I know they allowed points to the Miami Dolphins, but they do technically on paper have a good offense with great players. Buffalo, though, you stay where you're at, number 2. And coming in at number 1, shouldn't be a surprise, Philadelphia Eagles. I know that they had a close game against the Rams. They almost lose. They were down big, but they showed a lot in their ability to come back. And the thing that was the most concerned about this year so far was that passing attack. And the offensive coordinator finally let Jalen Hurts pass the ball, but it took till they were down 26-7, down 19 points in the third quarter. Maybe we can let him throw the ball a little bit earlier in the game, huh? I mean, I think that he's more than capable. You have one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. I think that we utilize that a little bit more, take some pressure off of Saquon Barkley in the offensive line, and then allow the passing game to shine more and more as the season goes on. Look, they were the defending champs. As long as they're undefeated, I'm going to keep them up here unless they look really, really bad. But they showed me something in the second half of this game against the Rams that made me excited about them moving forward. And I think that they deserve to hold on to the number one spot at least one more week here.